Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up now.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. We're good news. Good news. If you're watching this, you're probably still alive. And that's more than all the other humans who came before can say. So there's that. At least, we've all got that going for us. The 24/7 live stream is cooking right along. It's been stable for more than 24 hours, so I'm starting to not so much feel like I have to keep an eye on it all the time. And I've been cycling out videos, getting I initially put up like raw downloads from YouTube. I've been adding titles and dates to things, and now they should all be cycled through. This one will get added to the rotation after this show. So if you're watching on the replay or watching this later, we're live every weekday, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. I hope you'll join us because we'd love to see you in the live chat. Speaking of the live chat, hello, everyone in the live chat. It's wonderful to see you all. I see Theo hanging out, dancing to the intro music, and John and Jester. Lovely, lovely. Let's see. Don't want to miss anybody, at least in the beginning here. Mighty Filbert. I was told there would be cookies. I want some cookies too. Damn it. Who's got cookies? Someone bring me cookies. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Eric Wander. Hello, hello. And let's see. Okay, I think that's everybody so far. Hello, all you workers and lurkers and workers. I came up with a line in the moment and I screwed it up already. Good job, Ember. It's been a rough day, folks. People ask me, how, Ember, do you avoid burnout? Because I do this show 5 days a week. And then I do additional shows. On Tuesday, I drop into Maya streams about 4chan 101, learning a bunch of cool stuff there. On Thursdays, you can catch good news over on the Transpositions Weekly, which it takes me like 2 days to produce that show, down from 3. I'm more efficient now. Debate reviews with Mark Reed on Saturdays, sometimes this channel, sometimes his channel, and then of course my Sunday show. And I'm planning another show. The reason is because life is hard. Life can suck a lot sometimes, which I was reminded of very, very strongly last night. In a way, this is actually therapeutic because we can come together as a community and laugh at silly things. And they say laughter is the best medicine. Maybe not the best medicine. Penicillin is right up there. Tylenol does wonderful things for the brain, as I'm told. And community helps ever so much. So thank you all for being here. Today we're going to look at some claims. It's always claims, isn't it? But maybe we will find some proof. Some claims by arrogant, ignorant assholes who seem to think they and they alone have finally nailed down the proof, answered the question, where is the evidence for a god or gods or whatever you happen to believe in? Just pull back the curtain and show us. They say they can. So today we're going to have a look. But first, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I got to remember to say that at least once every show. There's a bunch of ways to support the channel, join memberships, links all over the place, find all my stuff on betterthanember.com. That's the fastest plug I've ever done, I think. Good job, Ember. This stream, if you are watching live, because the actual live shows, not the replay, the live shows often redirect to other shows in the community. And today, our friend Joe at the Kentucky Atheist is resurrecting his show Politicality. And I'm excited to see that. I hope you are too. Obviously, it's a political show, but it's often still a lot of fun. So this show will take you over there when it wraps, and a good time will be had by all. All right, now enough stalling. I'll get to the point. Maybe. People come here for the tangents. All right. Today we've got some vertical videos, because why discriminate, right? It's a thing. And there's a reason there's vertical videos, but only the people with sneak peek powers on this channel know why, or at least have a clue. Whatever. We'll figure it out as time allows. Okay, so this fellow, NASA study found God in green light. Seems legit. Let's check it out.
We'll talk about a NASA study concerning the, quote, green light.
Oh, we're doing one of those things where the person who's making the video doesn't actually contribute to the video. Their head just gets in the way from time to time. They're just re-uploading somebody else's video. I fucking love those videos. They're so informative.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I sure can. They did a study about that. What they're saying is they have found, with a question mark, that human beings have something called ADT in their body, which is hemoglobin.
No. No. ADT, or adenotriphosphate, if I remember correctly, is sort of like the batteries for the cell, right? It's a molecule. It goes into the mitochondria, processes happen, and another phosphate gets added on. So it becomes adenotriphosphate, ATP, and that is storing a bunch of chemical energy. And then that molecule gets carted out to the other parts of the cell that need the energy to do stuff. And that's the battery. The mitochondria puts the energy in the molecular battery, sends it out to the cell so the cell can perform actions using that chemical battery. It is not hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a molecule in red blood cells that connects to oxygen to bring the oxygen around the body. You know how the human circulatory system works. It's like 7th grade science, both hemoglobin and ADP/ATP. They're not the same thing, and if you finished middle school, you would know that. I realize I may be insulting the chat's intelligence by explaining that, but for anyone who doesn't know, like the speaker, I felt the need to explain that. Holy crap. Something that's somewhat less infuriating is Jester sent a super chat for $2. Thank you so much, Jester. And says, enough stalling, get to the tangents. All right, if you insist. So shoot, what can I even tangent about? I'm trying to summarize. I'm trying to leave out a bunch of stuff. Actually, I probably shouldn't do that. I probably shouldn't. Because one of the things that made last night unpleasant was I was accused of being vague and changing the subject when things got too personal. I don't want to put all my personal business out on the interwebs. I don't want this show to be too serious or potentially traumatizing, but I don't want people to feel like I'm hiding things either. I don't know. Long live the tangents. Yes, I should just not. I'm not in a good place to talk about it, so I should just not talk about it right now. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Let's continue with the silliness.
Where plants have ADT, which is chlorophyll, it's the same thing, works the same way, but plant versus human.
No. Humans have hemoglobin and plants have ADT. No. Every eukaryotic cell uses ADT, not ADT, the security house of the cell. Holy shit. ADP and ATP. Fuck. This man broke my brain on the first fucking video. Wow. That's right, Brent. Now it's ADT. Keep your cells safe with home defense. Who knew we were going to get a sponsorship this early in the video? Not sponsored, by the way, but open to sponsorships. Could be sponsored. Send me an email. Let me know your proposal. Maybe we can do a thing. And if you want to do a thing, oh yes, you can go to adamandeve.com and enter code word Brentley at checkout for 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Not my ad. I stole that. I shamelessly pirated that away from our friend over at Punkapostate, whose show is even funnier than this one. I promise. I know it's not hard, but it is. It is funnier than this one. If you can catch him, and he appears randomly, you never know. But if you can catch him, you will enjoy. I guarantee it. Or at least I enjoy. It's a matter of taste. So yeah. Something that I also enjoy, Slick and Slaylicious, send a super chat for $9.99. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the support. As many of you know, this is my job at the moment because of transphobia and disability and a bunch of other things. And so I really appreciate it. Slick says, the privacy of your personal life and story should always be respected. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. I mean, I understand that, like, there's parts of my life that I don't owe any of to the internet. It just, like I said, I'm such an open person in so many ways. Like, I do have a couple of boundaries, but they're so far back because part of what I'm doing is trying to stand up and be visible so other people like me know they're not alone and know that they can exist in this world, even though it's hard sometimes. And then to have people that I thought were close to me turn around and say, you're hiding things. You change the subject every time something gets too close to something. It's very upsetting. And that was the least upsetting part. But again, I digress. I need to stop digressing into the maudlin tangents. I just trying to have fun. We're gonna have ourselves a good time. I'm going to make myself have a good time. God damn it. Where's God? Show me God.
The green light is what causes the ADT or the chlorophyll to start working and creating life. The information from the instructions for that plant or those cells in your body to every living thing.
I love how the Shaggy dude keeps popping up and he's like, yeah, this right here. Like it comes anywhere close to making sense. Amazing.
Is getting that wireless information through the green light.
Okay, well, technically it's true that light is wireless. I mean, you could attach a fiber. You could have fiber optics, right? That's a thing that we know how to do. But most light is technically wireless. Fair enough. But the weird thing is green light. Remember, things are the color that they reflect most because they're absorbing the least of. So when you look at a plant, when you look at the chlorophyll, you see green because that's the one thing it isn't absorbing. What are we doing here?
That's what the study basically says, that God is talking to us through the green light. The center of the color spectrum is green, plus the aurora borealis is mostly green.
Why? 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 Okay, the center of the color spectrum humans perceive is green-ish. Could it be because we evolved on this planet with a star whose peak emissions happen to be in that range? So if we're going to take advantage of all these free photons fluttering about, perhaps it would be in our interest to develop receivers capable of receiving the strongest signal. Maybe. Perhaps. Who's to say? Holy shit. No, if God were real, our eyeballs would detect most strongly at 420 nanometers because God would know we would eventually use nanometers for wavelength and would understand the significance of 420. Plus, that's the frequency of Cherenkov radiation, which happens when there's time travel, which is pretty neat too. What else is pretty neat? Jester sends a super chat for $5. Thank you so much, Jester, and says, pro tip, if someone keeps changing the subject, they're not comfortable getting into that, and it's not your business. Stop prying and fix yourself. Okay. Yes, and thank you for saying so. However, I should caveat that the person who was so upset was already upset for other reasons due to other people. I had gotten involved because they were in trouble. And yes, I'm deliberately being vague at the moment because I don't want to bring anybody else's story into this. But in any case, they felt hurt. They felt victimized. They wanted to lash out, and I was the only one there. Not to excuse it, it hurt a lot. But I kind of get why. Maybe. Say Levy. My Unfinished Sock says, don't be catastrophically wrong about chlorophyll. Like and share the stream instead. And that's good advice for everyone. I mean, it's much more helpful to all of civilization to like and share a stream than to be wrong about chlorophyll. Mm-hmm.
Green, and it's the way the angle of the light hits the earth, and it casts that green light over the planet, which all the trees are green. Pretty much, it's the encoding of light wirelessly is coming through that light.
The wireless encoding of... Does that sentence even... Am I dumb? Am I a silly bean? The wireless encoding of that light. Okay. Let's think about this. We could use polarization in order to encode a message into a beam of light. I mean, you could use a beam of light for like Morse code or something, right? But we're talking about a continuous beam like sunlight, right? Where it's not broken up by obvious dots and dashes and whatnot. So you could use a polarization pattern. And then you'd need something capable of receiving those polarized photons in a way that it can distinguish which ones are polarized and in which direction in order to decipher the message and then be able to understand what the message means, which means you need language at the end of both the sender and the receiver. This is extremely complicated, not impossible, but possibly one of the least efficient ways to send a message I've ever come across. So good job, I guess.
That's basically what the study is, that God is talking, is telling them cells in your body, you're not telling that molecule what to do. It's got its own instructions, and it came from somewhere. We didn't write the instructions. We didn't encode it. There's a higher power that does it.
Kind of correct. It's true that we did not encode the sunlight. That's not a thing humans do, or has anyone ever said humans do. But it does not automatically follow that there must be a magic something doing this thing that isn't happening. It just... the fuck. Brent makes an excellent point. Radio communication is just light with a signal. That's true. You don't necessarily have to interrupt the beam. I was overthinking it with polarization. You don't need to do that. You can modify the amplitude or adjust the frequency and keep your continuous beam and get a signal through. So, okay, that is a thing humans do. Yeah. Very cool. My unfinished song asks, has anybody seen my errant sock? That unfinished sock is always wandering around, getting lost on its own.
You're talking about a higher power that maybe even programmed our biology.
Yes, absolutely. Greater today. Google.
From a certain point of view, if you want to speak poetically, then kind of, if you want to consider evolution to be a higher power, then yes, a higher power programmed our biology. But evolution is a concept. It's a model. It's not an entity. It's not a being with agency. If it were, we might expect a few less problems in our biology. Perhaps. Or it's just very bad at its job. You know, one of those.
Google the micro machines in your body. I'm showing your DNA and the machine that it is and how it replicates and how they're little machines, little workers that walk down strands and step over things. And so it's gotten the new science into believing that, knowing that it's didn't happen by accident.
He's talking about, shit, what's the name? This is not my field, so I only remember it from a video I did over a freaking year ago, but I want to say kinase, fuck, what is it? What is it? Ah, someone help me out. It's stuck in my head. It's a protein in the cell that carries molecular packages down the nanotubules. Let's try kinase and see if it brings up anything. Possibly. Kinase is an enzyme that catalyzes the transfer of a phosphate group from ATP to a specified molecule. It sounds related. I don't know. Not my field. Not my field. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, in any case, he's a silly bean, even if I'm a silly bean also.
It took a mind of some sort to create that. We can't even find
it did not. I mean, we have seen this shit happen in nature and in the lab, right? Like what's the new freaking I can't even think of the term for when an individual organism becomes an organelle of a cell, when it develops that symbiotic relationship. It internalizes the one thing. We've seen that happen in real time. It's not designed that way. It's life favors the things that help life survive, generally speaking. Just fucking endogenization. I should have looked up these terms before we started. I can't remember everything all the time. And in fairness to me, my brain is extra squishy today especially.
All of this is part of the awakening I think we're going to go through.
These are tiny molecular machines, and they're doing this inside your body, right?
That's the machines I was talking about. They're not actually machines. They're just molecules. They're more like a gear than a machine. But never mind. It's those things. I saw them in an Answers in Genesis video. They were talking about, the fact there's machines that are irreducibly complex means something, therefore God. So there. Checkmate, atheists.
Right now.
I guess that's the end of the video. Okay. I mean, yeah, there's little molecules moving the ATP around and other things. That's how the things get around. They don't self-locomote. Duh. It's only our first video, but I'm not impressed so far, folks. It's getting multiple very, very basic facts completely wrong doesn't give me great confidence in the conclusions. But the good news is we do have a few more, because of course we do. There's a never-ending stream of this bullshit on the internet.
Proof of God.
Ooh, okay. Proof, A, big plus. Boobies, also big plus. Okay, let's go. He's just pointing at a video playing music and I guess showing milk production. Cool. Why did the cells have to produce milk? If it's proof of God, like which God is it? Is this the God of milk? Is this what are we doing? What is this supposed to prove? Why? How? I have so many questions. I mean, this is proof of biology. It's proof that humans are capable of making milk, but that's what makes us mammals. That's the definition of being a mammal. So why are we just pointing at the thing and it's not saying anything?
You would have to be dumb to actually think we came from animals and from a...
You just showed a video that demonstrates how we're mammals, my guy. What do you mean? We are mammals. We didn't come from animals. We are animals. We're certainly not fucking plants. We're certainly not fucking rocks. I mean, maybe he's fucking rocks. Who am I to judge? But we are animals. That clip you just showed demonstrates how we are mammalian and how we reproduce as mammals. Did you know, fun fact, most mammals produce litters? There's only a few animals that don't. Many of the primates, horses, there's one of the cleft hoof critters, I forget which one off the top of my head, but there's different reasons for all of them. We're not directly related to horses because horses like us tend to produce single offspring. There's a different evolutionary pathway leading to all of those litter size reductions. And in humans, you may be interested to know, it's chimerism. Humans often develop multiple fetuses, but for the evolutionary benefits of only caring for a single offspring, we've developed this mechanism that enables us to fuse together in the womb to produce a single offspring. Now, of course, biology is a messy, messy bitch. So we do still get fraternal twins. And sometimes the process goes in the other direction and we get identical twins. But there is an evolutionary mechanism to help us reduce the number of offspring so we can have the most viable offspring possible. And that's how you get fun beings like me. Yay.
A Big Bang. Think about the reality of how a woman is able to create milk for her baby. We're able to create food. A woman's able to...
Yes, every Every mammal can do that. That's how we get the name mammal. It comes from the mammary gland. Lots of animals can do that. They're called mammals.
To create a baby. A man's able to give a woman a baby and create life. Think about that.
That's also, that's how everything that sexually reproduces can do. Plants can do that one. That's how pollination works. When you pollinate a flower, it's the same thing. For fuck's sake. So we went from failing 7th grade biology to failing 1st grade biology. We're making progress. Surely God is just a little further down this road, right?
Alone proves God on how much, when you look at us as a creation, our eyes, what we're able to produce,
Also, what the fuck is Jesus doing to that clay person? Like, what? Where are his hands? Jesus, mind the hands, buddy. What are you doing? That's not cool, fam.
we're able to do. It's so mind-blowing. It's so amazing. It's so awesome that it
is so awesome. It is awesome. It is amazing. It's astounding when you really start to learn about this shit. It should blow your mind. But to take that amazingness, that sense of wonder, and try to diminish it by ascribing it to some imaginary friend who, for some reason, really hates the shellfish that he spent billions of years handcrafting for some reason. It's just the shittiest thing you could possibly do. To say, because life is so magical, magic must be real. I kind of get that. But to say, because I don't personally understand how all of nature works, it must mean there's an invisible undead carpenter ghost who wants to live in your blood and hates when you wear mixed fabrics. I'm not with you. There's no connection. There's no reason to think that.
proves God in everything. And let me tell you something. If you believe in God,
which God? I mean, since to me, it doesn't prove any God. It doesn't connect with anything. So which God? Does it prove Allah? Does it prove Vishnu? Does it prove the fucking 4 wind spirits that work together to weave the earth out of spider webs? What does it prove? And how? You can't just wave at things and say it proves them. I mean, you can, but you look really dumb. But what doesn't look dumb is my unfinished song using a member chat, because that's another thing that members get. Free monthly chat thing. My unfinished song, member for 4 months, thank you, says, "Hail Ember," and a sense of wonder without gullibility. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the support, but I also appreciate the message, because that's one of the things I'm trying to strive for. Community first, human rights first. But once we're safe, once we're able to get beyond the sense of imminent survival, appreciation for the wonder of this magical fucking universe. Hell yeah.
I want you to type in the comments, "I believe in God," and share this with a friend. Proof.
That's the whole thing. Boobs exist, therefore God. That's almost a better argument than what he said. Boobs exist, therefore God. I mean, they do make me believe in the divine. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But never mind. That's, what are we doing? All right. But good news. All is not lost. We have more videos. Of course we have more videos. Yes. I tracked down as many as I could find in a single day that I thought would be amusing. I'm hoping we don't burn through all of them very, very fast like this. But we'll see how it goes. It'll be fun. So this next one, you may recognize this fellow. Let me make him big for you. because he is not a very big man, if you've ever seen him on stage. This is Pastor Greg Locke. He is an evangelical cult leader who believes in every single conspiracy theory except flat Earth. He really hates witches, and he's gone so far as to burn Bibles on his own property so he can claim he's being persecuted. But he also burns other books too. So it's not just the Bible. I haven't heard about it in the past year or two, but he used to hold these big old bonfires where they would burn D&D books and Harry Potter books and whatever other demon-possessed literature, which is anything that isn't the Bible, honestly. And other things like rock and roll albums and other spooky things. It's oh goodness. He's also, because he believes in every single conspiracy theory, he was also a vaccine enthusiast, and half his congregation died during the unpleasantness a couple of years ago. So, but he's making fuck tons of money, which I guess that itself might be proof his God is real. His God is real and hates humans, which is kind of in keeping with what the book says. So maybe someone should make that argument. I would be an amazing apologist. I have much better arguments than they do. God is real and he hates you. Like the Bible says, Exhibit A, look at the world. Look at the trees, if you will. Holy shit. Well, let's see. Now that I've, seasoned the stew, let's hear what he has to say. If he's got 100% proof of God, regardless of the fact that it's coming from this very disturbing individual, I'm eager to hear it. So let's listen.
Do you realize you only have to read the first sentence of the Bible? Yes, the first sentence of the Bible in order for God to prove himself as the creative genius of the universe.
Well, that's a big claim. That's a pretty tall order, because I expect many of us here have read the first sentence of the Bible possibly several times, and yet we are unconvinced. So what is this proof that we somehow missed?
Here's what the Bible says. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Boom. Just
boom. The book says, the book said a thing. We have an emoji for this. There it is. Book said a thing. The book made a claim. It said a thing happened. The magic being did a magic thing. The book making a claim, boom, that's proof. That's proof, folks. That's proof. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. That's proof. Roland, the gunslinger from the Dark Tower novels, he's real. And so is Walter, that smarmy bugger that he tracked across the desert. The Matthew McConaughey character in the movie, who raised the dead even, all real. The book said so. It's proof. Boom. What do you know? Spider-Man. Lots of books. Takes photos for the fucking newspaper. Photos of Spider-Man. So the book not only makes a claim that Spider-Man exists, which is proof, but also talks about additional proof within the book, like photos of Spider-Man. How could there be photos of Spider-Man if Spider-Man wasn't real? I mean, come on, people. It's so obvious. Well, we've moved out of the realm of biology, but we're still failing elementary school. Fucking hell. Kip says, nope. When God began creating the sky and the ground, it is not a complete sentence. I mean, there's that. And there's also the fact that the waters were already there. And also, doesn't it actually start with God hovering over the... Let's look. Because if Locke does not know, Pastor Greg Locke does not know the first sentence of his holiest of holy books, that would be hilarious. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay. Second sentence. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Alas, if that second sentence were the first, it would have been amazing. Alas! But still, this is really silly. Also, get me pictures of Spider-Man! Oh, I fucking love the thing. I love the thing. Neurogeezer says, I was enjoying the Dark Tower until it turned into an anything goes universe and therefore Oz. Wizard and Glass was weird. Honestly, it got progressively weirder. And that's Stephen King. That's what you need to expect from Stephen King. It's here's a story about how our hero is the gunslinger. He is the platonic form of the Wild West lawman. And this is how he operates in a world full of magic and mystery and superstitions made real. Horrors are actually out there, all this stuff. And that's wonderful. That makes sense. And then we're going to plunge him into a world full of what the fuck? Now, the story about Jake, oh goodness, the story about Jake is a great standalone. It added depth and dimension and a sense of connectedness. The strangeness in Roland's world kind of resonates with the strangeness in our world, but not in a direct one-to-one way, but they are connected. That was fucking cool. But the drawing of the three, to me, it kind of jumped the shark. Now, don't get me wrong. Eddie is a great character. Suzanne is a fantastic character. Bringing Jake back, kind of weird, but I get where they were going symbolically and things. But like after that, it starts getting even weirder. But the reason I love the series, and oh, it gets so much weirder. Holy crap. But the reason I love it is because despite all the actual insanity, because remember, King writes horror stories. Lovecraft added that element of insane levels of horror to the genre, and King is really good at plucking threads of it without dumping buckets of it on us, right? That's what makes him so good. And he weaves that story, but there's always that through line of the ultimate mission. It doesn't matter how crazy the world gets. Roland has a job to do, and he's not going to stop until he does it, even if God himself gets in the way. So it's a fun story. It's a fucking weird story, but it's a fun story. But I digress. That was a tangent. Hooray. Thank you for giving me a viable tangent. I appreciate it.
Stop right there. Did you know for life to exist, for something to have a creation, as it were, for something to come into effect, you have to have four things: time, space, matter, energy.
This sounds a lot like an argument we've heard before. I wish I had the clip ready, but it's an old video of Kent Hovind saying, in order for the universe to exist, you need three things, okay? You need, and I taught science. I taught science for 15 years, so I know you need time and space and matter, and you get them all three of these things right there in that first sentence from Genesis 1: time, space, and matter, and he. I'm sure he's going to do the same thing. But Kent makes it three things so he can invoke the Trinity. What the fuck is Greg doing with four? Is this his dumbass redneck improved version? Mine is better because it has four things. What are we doing?
Time, space, matter, and energy. You have to have those four things. Do you realize the very first phrase of the Bible explains that God gave us all of those at one time? In the beginning,
it claims them, but okay.
There's time.
God. To have a beginning, you have to already have time. You don't create time and then you have a beginning before that. That doesn't make sense, Greg. But go on.
God created. There's energy.
Created is energy. What the? Have I been misunderstanding energy this whole time? Now, maybe I'm a silly nerd, but it seems to me energy is the ability to do work, and saying created is a verb. Now, to do the creation, that's carrying out an action. You could say that is doing work, but to do the work, there is already energy, if you want to look at it in physics terms. Also, according to physics, energy cannot be created or destroyed. Matter too. You can convert them, sort of, under some circumstances, but you can't create them. So, what? As far as I can tell, this statement by Greg is an incoherent sentence, but okay.
The heavens, there's the space.
Oh, the heavens is space. Interesting, because when we look into space, when we send probes into space, when we send ships into space, when we send the fucking Voyagers and Mariners and shit out into space, we have yet to find a single angel, to say nothing of this omnipresent God. So what do you mean when heaven is space? I'm very confused.
And the earth, there's the matter. What?
It's true that the earth is made of matter. Yes, that's correct. However, there's a lot of matter that isn't the earth. There's the moon, for example. There's also the sun, which is over 99% of the matter in our entire solar system. There's the other planets that make up more than 99% of the remaining matter that isn't the sun. The earth is made of matter, but it makes up so little matter that in the grand scheme of things, you might say it doesn't matter. But hey, I'll be here all week. That's true, because we're here every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Oh my goodness. But yeah, what do you mean, Greg? There's matter everywhere. There's entire galaxies full of matter. Fucking hell. Oh. And as Kit points out, does Greg know that the sky is formed of matter? According to the Bible, there's a firmament keeping the waters above from now that's apparently the heavens. It's the waters above. You might call it the Black Ocean instead of the Blue Ocean. What the fuck? Oh my goodness.
Why does that matter? Because we were created in the image of God, for the glory of God, and there is ample proof that there is a God.
Such as you start out saying 100% proof of God, and all you told me was a claim, and then you put a crazy ass interpretation on that claim. At least Hovind, and this is a super fucking low bar. The bar is in fucking hell. At least Hovind linked his to a different concept within Christianity to make it seem like it points more to this dumbass interpretation points towards his God. Greg, you just said a bunch of shit that's laughably false. And it doesn't. Which God? Oh, it says a thing in my butt. Peter Parker, universe creating pixies. Nil, the great not God and creator of creator gods. Ta-da! It's right in the name. Created your God. That's what creator of creator gods do. Before your God was eaten by Lisa the rainbow giraffe, who then pooped out the universe. But details. That's later down the line. There's ample proof, and yet we get bullshit or giraffe shit, depending on your perspective. Fucking amazing. Incidentally, I met John, the skeptic, the British floating circle who now lives in Kentucky, at the ARC protest, and I ran this cosmic mythology past him. It is now canon. It is approved. He doesn't really talk about it on his channel, but it is officially approved. So I'm not committing any blasphemy or sacrilege by invoking Lisa in the nil creation story. It's just how things work. Just so we're clear on that. So yay. Alas, Greg too, etu Grego, has fallen short. But of course he did. Because if he could prove God, there wouldn't be a need for preachers and apologists like Greg. Kind of weird. Kind of weird. But good news. All is not lost. All is not lost. Or, but wait, there's more. Depending on your perspective. Now, this one I'm a little more hopeful for. I have no idea who this fellow in the bottom is, but the person on top you may recognize as the one and only director of the Hayden Planetarium in New York City, Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. And apparently this one surely will beat that standard of misunderstanding kindergarten level bullshit or even 7th grade level bullshit. Maybe we'll make it all the way up to high school bullshit. Maybe I'm optimistic. Let's find out.
Yo, listen to this.
As a scientist, do you believe in God?
Every description of God that I've heard holds God to be all-powerful and all good. And then I look around and I see a tsunami that killed 250,000 people in Indonesia. If there is a God, the God is either not all-powerful or not all good.
Okay, yeah, that's your classic problem of evil. I mean, well, okay, normally it's presented as a trilemma, but that version works. Either God can't stop the natural disasters, or the God doesn't want to stop the natural disasters. And in either case, the real God is not the same as the one we're being told is real, which means there's not a good reason to believe in the one we're being told about. Perhaps. So let's see. Why would he bring this video up? Why would he play this clip that crushes his own claims? Let's see what he's got to say about it.
I came from China as an atheist.
Oh no, it's the eyeball guy. We covered him a few weeks ago, right here on Hot Topic, in fact. So it will also be in the replay in the cycle, which is randomized, by the way. So it's not, so you never know which show you're going to get. That's the point. We don't want it to be like the same shows over and over and over and over. It'll be a random show playing so that it's not important. In any case, this fellow, he's an eyeball surgeon, and he believes God is real because eyeballs, because there are eyeballs. They're so complicated. How could that possibly happen by chance? It must mean not just any supernatural power is somehow guiding evolution. It must mean one specific Middle Eastern deity who hates clothes, doesn't like knowledge, causes snakes to talk and donkeys to argue with people and bushes to burn, a god who smites fig trees just because they happen to not be in season. All of these things. It must be that specific god for some reason. Of course.
Believed nothing but science. I was studying the structure of eye in med school, and I realized that the human eye is so complicated. Trillions of cells has to line up perfect.
I realize this person is an eyeball surgeon. This is his specialty. However, he happens to be factually wrong, and you can check this for yourself. The human eye is composed of billions of cells, but not trillions. Why is he inflating the number? Why the bigger the number, the more true it becomes? Isn't it impressive enough that there's billions of cells? Why is he wrong about something very basic about his own field? Suspicious.
Perfectly for visual signal capturing and interpretation. If any one of those cells gets out of line, the person will be born blind. So I had a...
That's also not true. There's people who are capable of vision who have defects in their vision. Perhaps there's a blind spot, right? Perhaps they experience a form of color blindness. They can't distinguish between two colors, but they're not blind. And then there's also people who are blind, but every single cell in the eyeball is in the correct place working properly. There's a disconnect somewhere between the retina and the optical processor part of the brain. Or there's something wrong in the optical processor part of the brain, or any number of other things. Like, None of that statement is true.
Big problem. And the atheist me at the time, that how could so many
Ah, yes, I used to be an atheist. That's why you should be convinced by my testimony, because I used to be a silly little bean like you. But then I learned something and it made me smarter. Except he's made two statements about his own field of specialty, and they've both been wrong. Factually incorrect, not a matter of opinion. So did it really make him smarter?
cells form in such a short period of time out of randomness. So I kept on asking a professor, and he said, "Man, what's a cross street?" I said, "That's a car." He said, "What's the difference between
Stories that didn't happen for 1,000, Alex.
a car and a human eye?" As a human eye is a lot more complicated. He said, "Okay, can you imagine how a random piece of metal form itself into a car?" I said, "No way."
No one says random pieces of metal are forming themselves into a car. Also, cars don't reproduce. Also, cars don't regenerate. Never mind. This is an awful analogy. I don't know why creationists insist on using it. It is perhaps the worst analogy. It's just saying, here's a complicated thing that we know we build because we build it. Therefore, everything else that's complicated must be built by something with a factory. That's it. Eyeballs get built in a factory and they get mailed to expectant parents, and you just plug them in before the baby's born. That must be how it's done. It's the only logical choice.
Way. And he said, "How about human eye?" So right there, he opened a window in my life, making me realize that it was formed with a specific purpose for vision. So there's a designer.
Well, sort of. I mean, it does have a specific utility for vision, but to say there's a specific purpose, that gets into philosophy. But to keep the discussion short enough to fit into a 2-hour show, no. What a thing works for, how it's used, is not necessarily what was intended of it, if there's even an intention at all. For example, I have here a pen. It is actually designed for a purpose. We created these to assist with writing, but I can use it to poke buttons on my keyboard. Just because it's designed for that doesn't mean it can't be used for something else. And that's just a handy example. That's actually how we got eyeballs in the first place. We've gone through the whole evolutionary process before, but it's a fun thing and I can do it very briefly. You start with a patch of photosensitive cells. And fun fact, all of your skin cells are photosensitive. They're capable of receiving vitamin D, or receiving sunlight and converting it into vitamin D. It's a whole process. We're not going to get into it right now, but they're capable of receiving light. If you get a mutation that enables them to detect the intensity of the light and relay that information via nerve signal to the brain, suddenly you have a new function. Maybe it doesn't do much, but it's a function. You can detect the intensity of light, maybe even the direction, depending on where this patch of cells is located. Cool. That gives you a slight evolutionary advantage. So maybe you pass that along to your children, who pass it along to their children, and so on and so forth. And eventually, over time, that patch of cells starts to recede. Now, I mean, evolution being evolution, it isn't just doing one thing. Some patches it will bulge out, some patches it will stay exactly the same. But in the ones where it recedes into a little depression, suddenly you can fit more cells into the same piece of real estate. And also, you get a little bit more directionality. In fact, the deeper that depression gets, the more cells you can get in there, and the greater the sense of directionality, the more control. So you're increasing the resolution, you're getting a better image, and more sensitivity. This is neat. So, I mean, again, evolution doesn't ever do just one thing. Some variations are going to be going in the opposite direction, and you may end up with compound eyes, for example, but that's neither here nor there. To get human eyes, it keeps going, it keeps complexifying. Eventually, you end up with an aperture at an opening that's only letting in a controlled amount of light, which gives you the ability to focus, especially if you align it with muscles to control the size of the opening. Hey, that's a thing we do. Add a lens with more muscles that let you control the lens for additional focusing capabilities, and ta-da, you have a fucking eyeball. A very basic eyeball, but we can get there in just a few quick and easy steps, which I think is pretty neat.
A creator behind that.
Yo, type amen if you know that Jesus is king.
What did any of that have to do with Jesus? What did any of that have to do? There was nothing. Even if you want to say stuff I don't understand, therefore God, which God? Again, what? How do you get to Jesus from there? What? Ryan says, is it me or is as Ember is moving her hands? The sound is getting wonky. Say what now? What do my hands have to do with the sound? I don't understand. Is it? Oh, Jester suggests she's waving them in front of the mic. Is waving them in front of the mic having an effect on the sound? Can you hear any difference when my hand is in the way? Like right now, my hand is in the way, and right now it's not in the way. We're constantly doing sound checks around here, aren't we? Right? Like the other day when I had the second microphone and we were doing the A/B testing with the microphone. We're always trying to improve things. We're always trying to make things better. Every day, not only am I producing a show, usually this show, but always a show, I'm tinkering with things behind the scenes, existing things. I'm tweaking them to try to make them better. You don't have to go back very far before you see very different screen elements for this specific show. Our bar at the top used to be different. Our background used to be different. In fact, the very first show we did not through this software, but on my local computer. In some ways, I kind of miss that because the live chat looked different and I liked it better because we could see the emojis and things. I do this because it's a lot easier to have guests. I don't always have guests, but I don't know if I will have guests until they either show up or don't. So, hooray. And, guests are good. So I use the software mostly. It's fine. It's fine. Christy says it is changing, but very slightly. So I guess I don't know. I just work here, folks. Alas, the one thing I can't control is knowing what you're getting. I don't know what you see. I don't know what you hear. I only know what's going into the inputs. I have no idea what's coming out of the outputs. Alas. Spooky says, Ember's sound has gone wonky a couple of times for me. Didn't last long. Nothing to do with the hand waving, though. I do gesticulate quite aggressively, though, don't I? It's my nails. It's the extra weight of the polish on my nails. It makes my hands very wavy. Or I don't know. I'm just going with it. Anyhow. Well, I must say, I'm not impressed with these argumentums ad Jesusum thus far. But maybe our next apologist will be the one who has a piece of compelling proof. We're going to keep looking. I've been looking for something like 3 years at this point. Eventually, we're going to find it. Probably. Chrissy says, I've been an Ember fan apparently for over a year. I'm not going anywhere. I'm glad to hear it. And I'm glad you're here because it's nice having you here. I appreciate that very, very much. All right, let's find our next creature. Jester says the flag movement, the hand movements cause the flag to move against the mic, but that's just a hypothesis. We can test it though. We can test that hypothesis. We can make the flag. There's the flag on its own. And then there's the I'm talking while the flag is flippity dippitying. And maybe it's the sound of the wind of the waving. I have no idea. we're just doing the things. It's fine. All right. Next creature. Make it so. I need a producer. I am the producer. Honestly, in all appreciation for the producers out there who put in their time to push the buttons and make things easier to run. Me personally, because I'm so used to pushing my own buttons. That sounded dirty. Never mind. It's easier for me to produce my own shows, is what I was getting at. Theo says, yes, it's popping. So that may be it. It might be the flag getting flustered. Yeah, Chrissy says it's making rustling noises. That makes sense, tragically. So I will try to be mindful of my decor. Or maybe I'll just glue the damn thing down so it can't move. I probably won't do that. Because I do like to take this thing out from time to time. And wiggle waggle. Or do something else. Like, it's easier to hide when I take the flag off. Like, you can still see the shiny silvery bit, but I can like make it more out of sight if I want it to go stealth. But often I'm like all about visibility, so Chrissy says, Brentley ad? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. But if you want a Brentley ad, you could head on over to adamandeve.com and enter code word Brentley at checkout for 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Still not my ad. I stole it. And I realize that other segue would have been much better, but it was funnier to skip it and then wait for someone to say something. At least it was to me. I'm trying to keep things, unpredictable around these parts. So yeah. All right. Lawrence is here. Now we can move on to the next critter. I don't know who the next critter is. Let's find out together, shall we? Undeniable evidence that Jesus actually existed. So now we're on to an entirely different claim. Not is Jesus God. Did Jesus even do the real? And there's something to be said here. I myself am not a mythicist. I don't hold to the positive claim that Jesus did not exist. I can't prove that. But the fact that the Jesus enthusiasts can't rule out that hypothesis is a problem. If they're going to argue that this supposed person who allegedly walked the Middle East in the 1st century of the Common Era was the incarnation of the one true creator God, and they can't even prove he actually existed, that sort of undermines their credibility. Like, they not only can they not prove the magic, they can't even prove the dude was real. Now, me personally, my personal take on this, and it's totally subject to change when I'm presented with new information, and so I'm not set in stone on this, but where I'm standing right now, based on what I can see, is it seems to be more likely that it's something like other myths that we know how they developed, like King Arthur, for example. The King Arthur story is based on at least 3 different individuals, possibly more, that got merged together, and then the elements of magic were added. Like, the magic isn't... There was a real person, right? There was an actual king of the Britons who fought the Saxons. But there were other people's stories woven into that story to create a mythical conglomeration of a literary figure. And just because there was an actual king of the Britons who fought the Saxons does not mean Merlin the magician actually did the magicses. You know? You can have a real basis of a thing existing, and it doesn't mean all the magical legend built up around them is actually true. We know that because that's how legends work. We can see them develop over time. So yeah, Lawrence says, I'm not going to say the evidence is amazing or anything, but there's enough to say there was a guy. I also think he was crucified because the cross imagery was so early, but that can be argued about. That's fair. As I've said since the very first days of this channel, I don't actually care. I'm not that invested in it. If Jesus lived, then Jesus died. This is not remarkable. How he died doesn't really matter. A crucifixion was sort of a popular means of unaliving people at that time. It wasn't the most common, but it was far from uncommon. The controversial part is the magic business, especially this weird, shady magic that nobody got to see or observe, and how the person who came back was so unrecognizable that nobody knew who the fuck he was. Was he like a Time Lord, and he like his face changed when he rezzed or something? It just, if he had the all-powerful power, why did he even die? Like, hang him up on the cross and he goes, haha, you pathetic mortals can't kill me. And then he floats down off the cross and snaps his fingers and lights it on fire and then takes over the kingdom like the prophecy said he would. Nope, he dies. And then some people say maybe he came back, but he looked different. The fuck kind of bullshit miracle is that? Oh my goodness. Anyway, let's find out about this undeniable proof that Jesus actually existed.
Here's some evidence that Jesus actually existed. First, Golgotha, meaning place of the skull. This is thought to be the place where Jesus was really crucified.
Okay. Golgotha exists. Thought to be the place where Jesus was. Yeah, a lot of people were crucified. Again, it was sort of a popular means of unalivement. So what? New York City exists. Therefore, Spider-Man was probably real. What are you saying, my guy?
You can even see the resemblance of the skull in the rock to this day. Next, we have the Garden Tomb.
The rock looks kind of like a skull. Therefore, Jesus.
Not far from Golgotha, due to its close proximity, this is thought to be the place where Jesus was brought after his crucifixion.
Thought by whom? Whomst did the thoughting in this case? I've been asking for quite some time. Show me the fucking empty tomb. If he came from the empty tomb, show me the empty tomb. They found a cave, which from the looks of all the concrete and shit, was built in the last few centuries. But they have a cave, and some people say it was this cave. How do we know? Well, it's empty. The lack of evidence proves it, right? Because every other tomb that isn't empty wouldn't be empty. So this is an empty tomb. It's empty. That's the proof it's empty. Mm-hmm. What are we doing?
He was then placed just behind where these bars now are. Next, we have the actual nails from a real crucifixion dating back over...
Oh, there are nails from a crucifixion. First of all, sus. Maybe real, but sus. Because that's not... What part of your body gets nailed with that nail, right? Like, are you nailing a child to a board? Like, how much? We don't have a really good scale for comparison, but you're not hammering that nail even into a slender person's wrist, let alone their ankles or like what are you nailing with that nail? Who was crucified with that nail? But also, much, much more relevantly, we know there were crucifixions. No one is contesting that. Well, there were real crucifixions, you know. Yes, we know. We know. The Romans kept records to some extent. Like, what are you saying? Oh my fucking God.
Over 2,000 years. The nails were found in the tomb of Caiaphas, which was the high priest involved in the trial of Jesus. And
wait, it was found in the what of who now?
Over 2,000 years. The nails were found in the tomb of Caiaphas, which was the high priest involved in the trial of Jesus.
So they found an ankle nail. How thin is this fucking ankle to nail it this way, first of all? But also, the nails were found in the tomb of a priest who had something to do with the trial of Jesus. I mean, that's a whole lot, that's a laundry list of claims that all need to be independently verified. But also, so the Sanhedrin, the priests, didn't crucify Jesus. The Romans did. So what exactly are we trying to say here? Well, this nail was connected to a person who had something to do with the thing, and he met Jesus once upon a time. Therefore, it must be Jesus's, probably. I mean, probably. Whose else could it be, right? I mean, it was designed by someone, and therefore, it must be, right?
And lastly, the Shroud of Turin.
Why do we do this to ourselves? What are humans? Why is humanity? Is this what we've come to? Lastly, the best and most undeniable evidence that Jesus actually existed is a painting from the 1300s, 14th century, that we know is a painting because the artist who painted it said so and told his local bishop, because he didn't want to be burned by the church for creating fake relics. And he showed his local bishop how it was done. And the bishop wrote a letter to the Pope saying, hey, this artifact is a painting. And I know it's a painting because the painter told me, and he showed me how it was done. I just want you to be aware, lest people start claiming it's a relic. It's just a painting meant to honor Jesus, not be an actual relic. We've known from the beginning that it is a painting. Undeniable evidence that Jesus existed. What the fuck are humans doing? In a way, we've been too successful as a species. We really have, because there are far too many people who have far too much free time that don't use it to learn anything, and so are out there being aggressively dumb and making it all of our problems. Now, to be clear, if a person wants to believe in the shroud, if a person wants to believe in the Jesus fish, if a person wants to believe an undead carpenter wants to live inside them and tell them never to eat shellfish, whatever makes them happy, I don't care. But it's taking shit like this, saying, hey, we found this nail that may have come from a crucifix, that may have come from a guy who knew a guy who was on a crucifix once, proves that that guy was actually God incarnate. Therefore, brown people and white people shouldn't be allowed to get married. Or therefore, we should be doing unnecessary cosmetic operations on children that will do great harm to them later in life. Or therefore, women shouldn't have the right to vote. Now, the stupidity, the moronery, it has become virulent. It has become a hazard to our collective health as a species. And that is a problem. The fuck are we doing?
The image on the shroud seems to be of a man around the same time frame and location of Christ. There's no...
It seems to be of a man who may have been from the same location, seems to be around the same time frame. It doesn't, though. It doesn't. It looks like a medieval painting of a guy. What do you mean?
No paint.
Like, literally, actual first century art looked better than this. The Dark Ages, we lost a lot of knowledge because of all the fascism, because of the churches. But never mind. And yes, I know fascism is a modern term from the 20th century, but the conditions that obtained were what we would now call fascism. But never mind. The art in the first century was better than this. We know one of the ways we know it's medieval art, aside from the artist saying so, is it looks like medieval art because the art was bad. It was like cave people levels of bad. The fuck? That's what the Renaissance was. It's named for the art because we rediscovered the classical Greek techniques and shit, and suddenly the people looked like people again. The ancient Greeks could do that. The ancient Romans could do that. They could make statues that looked like people. Fucking hell.
Or etching found on the shroud. Yet there is a clear image of a man which looks very similar to Christ.
He looks very similar to Christ. He looks very similar to Christ. How are we comparing this image? How do we know what Christ looks like to say it looks very similar to Christ? What are we measuring it against? Is there a picture in this thing that I missed? Is there a Kodak photo? An old Polaroid, perhaps? The fuck do you mean it looks similar to Christ? It looks like the medieval images of Christ, the paintings of the time, because it's a painting of Christ from that time. Wowzers. Jester sends a super chat for $5. Thank you so much, Jester. And says, but Ember, how would we wrap a mannequin or a person in some cloth and then kind of paint on it? That, my friend, is a puzzle, which clearly proves magic somehow. Also, there's that whole 3D modeler guy who showed that it fit a relief carving better than like a fully dimensioned person, which were very popular at the time and were easier to make. But never mind. It's fine. Lauren says he looks similar to later depictions of Jesus. Details, though. Details.
No one has been able to explain it, even though it's been through intense scrutiny.
Except for all the people who've already explained it, because once again, we have known from the beginning that it is a painting. Because the artist told us. But even if you don't believe the artist, even if you don't believe the documentation that accompanies the shroud, it has followed it throughout its entire history, where it's been, what fires it's been through, all the different things. That's fine. We have modern science. We have cool things we can do. We had microscopic specialists look at the shroud. Shock and surprise, they found paint. Weird. We had textile experts look at the shroud, sometimes under microscopes. Lo and behold, the fabric is from the 14th century. We had carbon dating experts, physicists, chemists look at the shroud. And it turns out the material is from the 14th century. And in fact, on top of all of that, the famous 3-to-1 herringbone weave, so I've been told by people who understand such things, did not exist in the first century because it requires a machine to weave that wasn't invented until the 1100s. But Jesus is magic, so why couldn't it be true despite all of those things? It's fine. I wish I had the clip of James Tour. I can only hold so many clips on this software, unfortunately, and I haven't reprogrammed my OBS because I'm bad at my job, but I wish I had the James Tour clip because he would tell us how much evidence from the shroud argues for its authenticity. And if y'all remember the famous Professor Dave James Tour debate, I think you know what word goes there. It looks like that. Oh, I wish I had the clip.
Leading people to believe this is the real burial cloth of Jesus.
And that's the end of the video. People believe the place exists. Here's a hole in the ground that was created hundreds of years later that some people say may have been the place he was taken. Here's a nail from a real crucifixion. So, you know, crucifixions were real. And here's a painting that some people think may have been the real burial cloth of Jesus. Undeniable, irrefutable evidence. This, they say, is the best evidence. I mean, if that were the best evidence, then clearly no one should be a Christian, because it's pretty strong evidence against their beliefs. But the thing about apologetics is it's sort of like evolution. Someone will pop up with a new argument or interpretation, and if it gets mowed down immediately, it doesn't spread. The arguments that are more sophisticated, that are better able to trick people, those are the ones that spread. Those ideas, the memes, like the genes, spread throughout a population, infecting them and mutate. And then someone will come up with a different idea or interpretation, and then it changes a little bit, and there's a whole bunch of different versions. And it's the same sort of thing. Which is one of the reasons we can never quite wipe these really stupid ideas out, because we can counter them all day long. And then another shoot pops up that's almost identical to one we already cut down, but it's not quite the same. And so we have to do it again. And additionally, none of these fuckers are listening to what anyone else is saying. They're wrapped up in their own bubble. It's amazing. All right. But wait, there's more. I'm not sure who this person is. I've seen him around the internets. Don't know. The name on the video seems to say Steve Anal Rock something. I can't quite read it. It is very small, and my monitor is very bad. I'm doing my best, folks. But let's see what he has to say.
Did you know that NASA has actually done research on the crucifixion of Jesus Christ?
Wow, we're off to a fun start already. NASA has done research on the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. He's actually not entirely wrong in a very weird way, but I'm not sure he'll get to that. He may go somewhere else with it. Let's find out.
And what they found proves the Bible is true. You see, the Bible says in Matthew...
Oh, does it? This should be really good.
Matthew 27 verse 45, when it's talking about Jesus' crucifixion, that there was darkness in Jerusalem from the 6th hour to the 9th. And if you Google when scholars think that Jesus was crucified, they think it was April the 3rd, 33 AD. But
some of them think that. But never mind.
This is what will blow your mind. There was a partial eclipse on Jerusalem in Israel on April the 3rd, 33 AD, according to NASA.gov. And
I actually don't even have to pull up NASA for this. I thought I was going to have to pull up NASA. I don't have to pull up NASA. Because check this out. Can I make this big? I wonder. Oh, shit, I can't. I can make it small, but I can't make it big. Damn it. That's infuriating. All right. Let me move the banner here. Shit. I need to do something else, because even if I move the banner in the replay, the banner will still be there. So I'll just pull up the fucking website. All right. NASA April 3rd, 33 AD eclipse. All right. I'll share this screen. History of eclipses. All right. And let me make this one big so y'all can see. What do we do? Oh, it's a freaking pop-up. Freaking pop-ups. Go away, pop-up. Nobody likes you. All right. Let's do Control F. 33 No, get back here. 33. Okay, there's only 2, so I'll just next. There we go. Friday, April 3rd, 33 AD. Okay. Using the textual source, scholars narrowed down a possible date of crucifixion to Friday, April 3rd, 33 AD, because a lunar eclipse occurred that day. A lunar eclipse. The chat's in the way. Let me move the chat. I want y'all to see this very, very clearly. A lunar eclipse occurred that day. Jerusalem was dark because the sun went out for 3 hours. In a lunar eclipse, the sun and the moon are on opposite sides of the earth. The moon gets eclipsed because the earth gets between the sun and the moon. It's the earth's shadow on the moon. First of all, partial eclipses, they don't make things dark, but never mind that. A lunar eclipse means the earth has blocked off the sun's light from the moon. The sun's light is still reaching the earth. And so it's not dark. And even if it were a solar eclipse, those don't last from the 6th hour to the 9th hour. That's not how anything works. The reason I got so excited is because I thought I was going to have to bring up this table, because I have had to bring it up before. But this fellow, he very, very helpfully, he shows us a table that says right on the top, it's very small on my screen, and I'm sure many of yours, but it says right at the top, lunar eclipses. He says it. I don't even have to go to NASA. He says it. All right, folks. We have descended to the kindergarten level of apologetics, because we're failing at basic reading. We're not misunderstanding biology. We're not misunderstanding chemistry. We're not even misunderstanding eyeballs, which I guess is biology again, or colors, which I guess that's kindergarten too. We can't even tell the difference between the sun and the fucking moon. Why? Witches are in our congregation. You get out of here, you dirty witches. He should be glad if he has witches in his congregation, because witches are baddies. I mean, first of all, most witches are pretty cool people. Most, not all. Humans are humans. Some people suck, but most. But if someone actually did have magical powers or a dark pact with a demonic entity that gave them the ability to use supernatural forces for their benefit, they would probably have the capability to be, pretty. Perhaps. Just saying. Does Greg Locke hate pretty people? He probably does. He's jealous.
And they say that it lasted 2 hours and 50 some minutes, which is exactly the same amount of time mentioned in the Bible. So if you believe
it is not 2 hours and 50 some minutes. First of all, wrong type of eclipse, wrong time of day, but whatever. It lasted 2 hours and 50 minutes. It's not exactly the same amount of time. The same amount of time would be exactly 3 hours. So exactly the same would be exactly 3 hours. That's not how the word exactly works, but never mind. It looks similar, so it is the same thing, is an argument we see all the time. But fucking up solar and lunar eclipses is just, oh goodness.
The Bible is true, then subscribe for more.
And if you believe that we should base our conclusions on the best information available and not a book said a thing, and here's a thing that looks kind of like the thing, even though it's the exact opposite of the thing the book says, then subscribe for more, because I have more. I do. I'm sorry to say I do have more. We're not done yet. In fact, I'm saving a special one for the end, partly because it will amuse me, but partly because I haven't seen Tsumami, and she will really appreciate that one. But anyway, we do have more. We're not far from the end, though. Maybe we'll get our proof soon. All right, this fellow, I don't know his name either, but I've seen him around. He does these mind-blowing proof of gods. This one's part 5. I didn't bother to grab the others. 1 segment per customer. Thank you very much. I'm not doing his entire series. We're just whatever jumped out at me on the day I went looking. It'll be fine. It says, I can't read it. It looks like it says Deeb B puberty, which is probably wrong. I don't know. But let's see what he has to say. I'm sure he will bring us the proof we've been searching for. What could possibly go wrong?
Mind-blowing proof of God, part 5. Just give me one.
Because he couldn't do it on the first 4. He had to make a part 5. Just to be clear, the first 4 proofs of God, insufficient. Needed a part 5.
1 minute of your time, and I promise you won't regret it. This here is Noah's Ark, and guess what? They found it.
I already regret it. This here's Noah's Ark, and they found it. Magic Zoo Boat. Where's Dave? Dave, I need to borrow your Magic Zoo Boat song. I need a song for the Magic Zoo Boat. Would you lend it to me? So Dave runs a channel, Captive Desk, if you haven't ever seen. Sometimes Dave does a night watch show, which is, as you might expect, nighttime, at least here in the Western Hemisphere. Also Saturday Night at the Atheists, and a bunch of other stuff. He has a bunch of songs that he plays at Saturday Night at the Atheists and some of his other shows. One of them happens to be The Magic Zoo Boat. It's kind of hilarious. Random plugs. It wouldn't be an Ember show if I didn't do random plugs for another community member. But if you want to do some random plugs, head on over to adamandeve.com. Enter code word Brentley at checkout for 50% off almost any one item. 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Still not my ad. I'm still not sponsored. I know. I don't understand how I'm not sponsored either. But I stole that ad because I'm a pirate. Avast ye lubbers. So there. Mwahaha. Brentley cannot stop me. Anyhow, Magic Zoo Boat.
Found it. Found in Mount Arid by a guy named Ryan Watt.
Ron Wyatt, but close enough, and also no. Like, all of that. Like, he even got the guy's name wrong. It wasn't on Mount Ararat. It wasn't the Ark. It wasn't Ryan Watt. All of that, that's incredible. It's amazing. He actually managed to get all of that wrong. Every word in that sentence was incorrect. He should have been right about something by pure fucking accident. So we're gonna hear about the Darupanar site, which we've talked about almost as extensively as the fucking shroud on this channel. I'll let him go for it so we're not repeating ourselves.
Lies here, a giant boat-like structure, measured to be the exact length of Noah's Ark that was mentioned.
Exact, once again, does not represent exactness. We don't know the dimensions of Noah's Ark in the Bible. It mentions cubits. Cubits aren't a certain length. They're generally understood to be something along the lines of the distance from a person's elbow to the tip of their finger, something like that. And since everyone has different sized arms, we don't know how big the cubit in question was. So how can we say anything is the exact dimensions? And also, it's not, but never mind.
In the Bible, on all sides of it, it has ribs like a boat. No natural geo.
It very much doesn't. No, that's not how fucking hell. That's not how boats look. There is not, nor has there ever been, a boat that looked like that. That looks like rocks, possibly revealed in a rock slide, which, to the surprise of absolutely no one, is how the Drupe in our site got discovered. There was a rock slide, and someone went, huh, look at them funny looking rocks that got revealed in that rock slide. Those sure are some interesting rocks. And I agree, they are interesting rocks. But they look like rocks, not a boat. Even with the most powerful pareidolia, I'm talking look at the shroud and think that looks like Jesus pareidolia. It's still rocks. Fucking hell.
Geological columns form like this. They also found man-made fossilized rivets, valves, wedges, and washers at the site.
A few notes. A, they didn't have rivets in Noah's day. B, those rivets aren't rivets. You can't fossilize a rivet. What do you mean? Fossilization is the process of permineralization where minerals replace the organic components within a biological specimen. You can't fossilize a fucking rivet. C, they're not from there. And D, looking like a rivet doesn't mean it is. Like, it's every sentence. Every single piece of it is fractally wrong. It's fucking impressive. It's gotta be his special skill. Bree is stopping by, taking a break from packing to give Ember kisses via the Matrix. Aww. I hope you have a good trip, Bree. I hope the next place is better. The last place was beautiful, no question, but I hope the next place is better. So yeah, Bree's on a journey. Hooray! Going places in life. Bree says I carve all of my cogs and rivets from human bone. Fair enough. Then you can get fossils. Mm-hmm. That's the only proper way to do it, I suppose.
Now, this right here that you see, these are ancient anchors called drogues. And guess what?
Oh no. Oh no. This is like peak I saw it on the internet, so I'm going to repeat it without ever checking into it culture. Like wowzers.
They found these ancient anchors around the site. Not to also mention that they found...
No. They didn't. So there's, once again, every single part of that is wrong. That's not what drogestones looked like. That's what headstones looked like. The fact there's a hole in a rock doesn't mean it was a drogestone. But also, those weren't drogestones. But also, that's not near the site. They're from a nearby village. But by nearby, we mean it's the village that's near the site. It's like 15 kilometers away. It's not around the site. So once again, every single part of that sentence is not just wrong, but fractally wrong. Holy shit.
Remains of fish on top of Mount Everest.
Okay, now we're going to a completely different place. And that statement is true. Well, sort of true. Technically, it's completely wrong, but it's in the general neighborhood of true, insofar as we have found ocean-dwelling life, bivalves, things like clams, on top of Mount Everest. And by on top of, I mean on the slopes of, not actually on the very top of, but details. It's in the general vicinity of true, which for this person is, by God, close enough. Now, how did we get fossilized marine life forms on top of Mount Everest? I'm sure everyone watching right now already knows. The tectonic plates move a bit. Some things that were once the bottom of the ocean are now mountains. Some things that were once mountains are now at the bottom of the ocean. Because the Earth changes over time. It sure does. It's pretty good at it. We've noticed some of that happening over the course of our own lifespans. Some of us are old enough to remember Mount St. Helens, which involved quite a bit of dirt moving around. Most of us have, if not been in an earthquake, have been alive when an earthquake happened, and we've seen the videos or the photos of overpasses knocked down because the ground sheared 10 feet over or dropped 6 feet in an instant. And the thing about that, while 6 feet is not several miles, when that sort of thing can happen multiple times within a single person's lifespan, and you consider the fact that the Earth is billions of years old, shit's going to move around a lot in that period of time. If it can move 10 feet, even just say 10 feet per century, once in a century events, over billions of years, it's still a shit ton of movement. So, why is there marine life? Why are there fossils of bivalves on top of Mount Everest? Because of the geology of the Earth moves the dirt around, my guy. And also, as Andrew points out, Mount Everest, famously, not Mount Ararat. These things have nothing to do with each other. They're not related in the slightest. Fucking yikes. It looks vaguely like a boat. Therefore, Noah's Ark. How do you know it wasn't Gilgamesh's stone boat? What do you mean? Holy shit.
Guys, if this ain't enough proof of God, Noah's Ark, and the flood, I don't know what is.
Well, that's pretty clear. That's proof that you don't know anything about it, and you have a special skill for not knowing things. But it's not proof of God. But it is abundantly clear that you don't know what is. So, let me elucidate you, friend. Let me make it clear what I mean by proof of God. When I say, show me some proof, show me evidence even, I mean something like you're saying God is omnipresent. Just take this curtain, pull the curtain back, and show me God. Don't show me some weird, unexplainable thing that you don't understand and say, therefore God, because it could be therefore anything. It could be nil. It could be rolling the goblet closet. I'm speaking in tongues again. I'm getting glossolalia over this. Roland the Closet Goblin. It could be universe creating pixies. It could be dwarves from the underworld. Show me your God. That's all I want. That's all I need. Why can't you do that, my friends? Because your inability to do so is starting to make me think maybe your thing is entirely made up. Maybe. Like at this point, it's not just I have no reason to believe you. It's more like I have lots of reasons to actively disbelieve you. But okay, we do have more friends. We do have a couple more people that we can look at. So let's see. Here's a fun fellow. Mind-blowing proof God is real. Okay. Let's hear him out. Let's see what he's got to say.
This video is mind-blowing proof that God is real. I don't know how anyone can not believe in God after watching this. Now it's
That sounds like a challenge. Now I'll make him big so you have a chance of being able to see what's on his screen. It's a highlighted section from Genesis.
interesting. The Bible says that God put Adam in a deep sleep and that woman was actually created from the rib of man. This means...
Well, kind of. This section says, the highlighted text specifically, it says, and the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam. That must have hurt. I wonder how heavy it was. And he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place, break in the text. Then the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, he made into a woman. First of all, why do you need a Lord God if there's only one God? If you only have one, why does he have to be the Lord God? Wouldn't just God be sufficient? But never mind. He took a rib and he made it into a woman. And he brought... the fellow's head's in the way. So I assume it says brought it to life, brought her to life, something like that. Now you can take this a few different ways. You could say supernatural magic, men and women are related. You could say the very first woman was a transsexual. She was made out of the body of a man. That's literally what a transsexual woman is, from a certain point of view. I mean, I've never seen an entire person replicated from a rib, but mythologically speaking, it leans in that general direction. It's a clone who is transgender. But never mind. Let's see his take on the matter.
Means that God used Adam's rib to create Eve. Now, it wasn't discovered till thousands of years later that the rib is actually the only bone in your body that can be removed and regenerate itself. Now, since this...
What? First of all, let's take that at face value. Let's assume that's true. Let's be crazy and assume that's true. That's two claims. The rib can be entirely removed and will regenerate. Sus, but let's say it's true. And two, the rib is the only bone that can regenerate. Now, we happen to know that one is false. Bones do heal. That's how we heal broken bones. Bones are capable of regeneration. What does he mean by regeneration? Does he mean regrowing completely, or the ability to heal? To what extent can he heal? Where does it stop healing? What do we mean? Clarity, precision of language can be important. But let's take the claim at face value and say it's true for the sake of argument. The fact that if that's true, that ribs can regenerate, and ribs are the only bone that can regenerate. So what? You're missing a step. How does that prove that God made Eve from a rib? Now, if you can show me, if you can take a rib, remove it from a body, put it in a petri dish, and it grows into an entire person, the rib doesn't just regenerate, but the rib regenerates an entire person. We may have something to talk about. If that ever happens, I'm still not convinced that it's proof of your specific God. But it would be proof of something we definitely do not understand and need to study in a lot more detail. I would be a lot more inclined to accept your ancient proposal if you can show me a rib that grows back the entire rest of the person. That would be pretty fucking cool. In fact, I'm very poor, as many of you know. I would pay money to see that. I would literally pay at least a nickel to see that happen. Not even in person. I'll take a video. Show me a time lapse. Put the rib, dip it in your barbecue sauce or whatever, set it on the slab, on the petri dish, whatever. I will watch a time lapse of 6 minutes, 10 minutes, however long it takes for the rib to regenerate the entire body. I will do that for real cash money of an actual nickel. That would be fucking cool.
Scientific fact was recently discovered, it would be impossible that the writer of this would know this unless he was divinely inspired, proving that the...
Wait, so the argument is because the rib can do this magical thing, the writer could not have known that at the time, which is another claim that is not supported, but also, whatever, let's say that's true, therefore, he was divinely inspired. So if we're looking at all the weird, odd things that are claimed in Genesis and saying, well, they couldn't have known that, therefore it was divinely inspired, then it follows that it was also divinely inspired that the trees existed before the sun, or that there was light before the sun, for that matter. It just... This divine inspiration, it seems to miss kind of often, you know, like talking about how the earth is a flat circle, that the sun and the moon go around the earth. Not the most precise inspiration I've ever come across, but maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. All right. We're almost out of time. I'm going to throw over to Joe at the Kentucky Atheist for the return of politicality in just a few minutes, but I do have one more, a special treat, a bonus flavor. We're going to get away from the Jesus. In fact, we're going to get away from Earth entirely. We're going to fucking Mars. Hell yeah.
What if I told you NASA found a Hindu god statue on Mars? Yes.
What if I told you NASA found a Hindu god statue on Mars? I might expect you would call me silly. I might feel silly if I told you something like that. Yeah.
You heard that right. In 2021, NASA's Perseverance rover captured an image that sent shockwaves through scientists and historians.
I love that the scientists and historians hang out together in AI-generated images, but also they're not looking at what's on the screen. They're looking at the side of the monitor, and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. But go on.
At first, it looked like just another Martian rock.
Oh, I love the AI imagery. So obviously, that's not an actual image from Mars. That's an AI generated image, which the person has already poisoned their own well by showing they use quite heavily. But whatever. That is not the image from Perseverance. This is... Oh, wait, no. This is the iguana that we got a picture of on Mars. The fossilized stone iguana of Mars. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean iguanas are God? Could be. But my apologies. That is the wrong image. This is the... Oh, no, wait. That's the green Bigfoot of Mars. Oh, goodness me. Why do I keep finding all these strange things that look like things on Mars that are not the thing I'm looking for? Oh, how silly of me. How bad. Now, of course, I could do this for quite some time, but we are running out of time, so I will cut to the fucking point. This is the actual image from the Perseverance rover. Do you see how it's clearly... move over. There we go. Well, it looks kind of like a thing. I mean, you can see based on where the shadows fall and the pixelization of the image and so on and so forth, how it kind of sort of looks vaguely like an elephant, maybe-ish. Therefore, it is a Hindu statue. So much of what we've seen today, pareidolia. But this is by far my favorite. Because first of all, elephants are cool. Second, it's nice to get out of the, Levant area's divine pantheon from time to time. Third, Mars, fucking amazing. You can find literally anything on Mars. because it's very, very, the age of the land goes from millions of years to billions of years. It's whole orders of magnitude more ancient than Earth is, at least the surface of the Earth. But also, this is just silly. We're finding pareidolia everywhere. We're finding faces on Mars. We're finding pyramids on Mars. We're all sorts of things, all sorts of silly things, and it is silly because it's wishful thinking. It's people saying the thing looks like the thing, therefore the entire mythology must be true. Why would there be a Hindu sculpture on Mars? And how does that prove? That might prove Hindus were there, but what? I'm speaking in tongues again. It is not it's not a statue. It's just pareidolia. Oh, goodness. All right, folks. That covers what I wanted to cover. That's the main points of that thing. I got to show you. I made you look at rover pics. I got some science in here today, sort of, in a tangential sort of way. And as you know, we are all about the tangents here. In fact, people come here specifically for the tangents. In fact, people come here for the tangents to such a great extent, it is literally on the merch, which is as cheap as I can make it because I'm very poor and I understand a lot of other people are as well. So I made it as low a price as possible. If you would like what I'm told is a very comfy tee about coming here for the tangents, that's there for you. If the links aren't visible on YouTube, you can also find it on the website betterthanember.com, where there's links to all the other stuff I do and a bunch of other ways to support. I'm not going to do a whole sales pitch on that thing, though, because I would rather thank everyone who sent super chats today, because I very much appreciate that. Donations, especially super chats, are literally how I pay my bills, how I pay rent, how I pay for food, how I keep the lights on. I very, very much appreciate those. So Jester, Lord of something that we can't disclose. It's been redacted, like the title of Dr. Kip's book. Random plug. And if you want a random plug, never mind. We don't have time for romance. Jester says, enough stalling. Get to the tangents. I hope I did a good enough job with that today. Slick and Slaylicious sent $9.99 and said, your privacy and your personal lives and story should always be respected. And that's good advice for everyone. And thank you both for saying so and for supporting. I appreciate both things very, very much. Jester sent $5 and says, pro tip, if someone keeps changing the subject, they're not comfortable getting into that, and it's not your business. Stop prying and fix yourself. Absolutely, Jester. My Unfinished Song used a 4-month member chat. Thank you. And said, Hail Ember, and a sense of wonder without gullibility. Hell yeah. And Jester wraps us up with another $5. Thank you so much, Jester. And says, but Ember, how would we wrap a mannequin or a person in some cloth and then kind of paint on it? I don't know. The historians will struggle with that one for ages. It's a mystery. Oh, and one final thing. We had a poll going. As you know, I love polls. I get very excited about polls. The question of the day was, are you a god? And now, at the conclusion of the show, I'm prepared to determine the results. 16% of people said, Ray. 24% of people said, giant marshmallow. 24% of people said, is this some ridiculous nerd thing? Oh yes, it's very ridiculous and very nerdy, and I'm fucking delighted by it. And 35%, sadly not a majority, but the highest vote getter was yes, mistress. And I fucking love that. And if you want to be saying yes, mistress, in just a couple of days, you can head over to adamandeve.com and enter code word Brentley, because that free shipping is fast as well as free. I thought I'd just slip in one extra plug there. And if you need an extra plug, you know where to go. Thank you all so much for watching. We're back tomorrow. Gamer girls is the subject of the day. Hopefully some of the girls join me so that we can talk about games. But I'll be here And I'm happy to hear from you folks about your favorite games, what makes them your favorite, and all things nerdy and game related. It should be fun. I hope to see you then. But until then, do remember, you don't have to try to find things that look vaguely like your favorite flavor of God and jump to weird conclusions and just completely misunderstand everything about everything, because you are so much better than religion. Laters. Thanks to all our patrons and top-level members for September. Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Trans Metal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkison, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Malaysia, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, Godless Engineer, Jester, Lil of All Trades, Deviant Outcast, and Kelly King, the Detroit Atheist Queen. And you can add your name here next month by signing up at patreon.com/betterthanember or by joining Emberships here on YouTube at the Cinder level, which also includes all the custom emojis, tons of member-exclusive content, member-only live streams, and a bunch of other stuff. I deeply appreciate all the supporters who keep this channel going. Thank you all so much. Because of you, we're building a wonderful community that I'm very proud of.
Just like a spark.